to episode 4 of the Grunge Bible podcast. My name is Chris Salona. I'm along here with my good friend Ethan Shalloway. Ethan, how are you doing today?
Chris, I'm doing pretty great. It was a real nice day here. It was sunny, and we got a podcast to record, so I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. So this is our fourth podcast. So that means that we now have officially have one more podcast than chords that Kurt Cobain knew on the guitar. And that's a joke, everybody. So either laugh or exit out of the podcast. We probably lost half of our half of our listeners right there. But
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
We only need 4 chords, I guess. So
exactly,
that's great. Or
what's
3.
What's the old country music saying? 3 chords and the truth. Kurt was all of that. So absolutely.
Awesome.
But
before we get too deep into it, quick shout out. This episode is brought to you by, other than us, we have a really good friend who's doing some great work behind the scenes to make this possible, Drew McFadden. We're going to have him on next week for an interview, our first interview, but he's doing some audio engineering and he's hooking us up and helping us. He's a longtime friend. Next episode, we're going to get into that and what he's been in music and what he's done. So real excited, but we want to start thanking the people that are doing us a service. So
absolutely. So big thank you to Drew for everything that he does for us. And we would not be making this podcast without him. So very, very thankful for that. So for this episode, we're doing something a little different. So 4th episode, we're going to do a little Q&A today. So yesterday we solicited the great people of the internet for the questions that they had for us, and there's a good spread of questions, as there usually is. So if you've been following the Instagram page for a while, you've known that we will periodically do Q&As on Instagram, just through Instagram stories. So the podcast is a great other dimension to pull some questions, answer some questions, and talk music, talk not music, pretty much open season. And we'll make a habit of doing these as we move forward. So just be on the lookout if you have any questions you want to ask, pretty much about anything. That's what kind of makes this fun. So I'm excited.
We usually get really good response with these. People love asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like asking the same questions, but let's, you want to get into it? Should we just start going?
I think we're going to go right into it. So the first question we have here, it says, did Kurt Cobain's suicide push his image to become any more iconic opposed to if he didn't commit suicide or pass away earlier? And that's, I think it's impossible to tell because there's only one thing that happened. Kurt's life ended at the age of 27 in 1994. As it always seems to happen, once a public figure passes away suddenly, there is often an influx to, consume their work if they were in the public eye in that manner. And I think that was obviously really evident with Kurt. But, my opinion is that he was, he was such a transcendent musician and person, regardless of how, he was going to pass away, if he passed away earlier, if he was still with us, I still think he'd be very highly regarded, but who's to say how much?
Yeah. I've thought about this a lot because a lot of people say that he's not like the joke in the beginning.
Yeah.
They say he's not much of a musician of sorts and the death is what made him and the band so popular. But I would argue that what they were doing at the time was what made them popular. And then, of course, losing somebody, that definitely attaches a lot of emotions. And I think emotions are what, trigger or allow people to remember stuff so vividly. So I think that there was a longevity created from, and there's a lot of mystery that comes behind of the people that we lose before they can really get into their prime. That's in sports and music.
3 studio albums. He only recorded 3 studio albums for Nirvana, and I think they did Bleach in 1989, and he passed away in 1994. So not even 5 full years of making music. So and it's really sad too, because you think about just how much, as an artist, and certainly that pales in comparison, when you think about, like, as a person, what he had to offer to those around him and those in his life. And everything like that. But it's a good question, and it's one that you can never really answer because there's only one. It only happened one way, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But so next question here: how much do you make a year before taxes? This is a question that we got.
Is it referring to Grunge Bible specifically, or my personal income?
Let me just divulge all of my tax information. So I will answer.
Let me count on my hand. This much money.
I've got a couple quarters here. Basically, my answer would be both for Grunge Bible and both for myself.
Not as much as you think.
A lot less than you would think.
I love when people are like, you guys are such a big account. Like, you guys make so much money. Why can't you just help out a little? Like, or people always assume that we make so much money.
Right.
Well, Chris, we make a ton of money, right?
Oh yeah, we're rolling in the dough, which is why we have a state-of-the-art podcast set up right here.
Yes. The answer is no. We don't just, you don't just make a lot of money by having a big Instagram. And I think that we're learning that
how it works.
Yeah. We're learning that there is definitely a lot of work, that goes into those people that make
for sure
a living off of, like, even 15,000 followers. People make livings, and
they hustle.
Yeah, they really do hustle, and they I don't know if they're selling product or advertising, but that stuff doesn't. I mean, sometimes it comes to you, but a lot of times they're getting out there and figuring out ways to make money. So,
and I'll honestly say, for both of us, I think I can speak for you as well that that's not really the main motivation here. It's not, to turn it into a cash cow or have it be a cash cow. I mean, you look at our lives and, we're both, working, training, like we have other endeavors in our lives that take time, effort, and energy. And, this is just a really great part of our lives. And I think for me, at least at this point, it's certainly more entertainment, if that's the right word, than it is occupation.
Absolutely. I believe that people think that they probably think that we spend like 15 minutes total to like write all of the posts for the day. Like I feel like people underestimate how long it takes to make as many posts as this page puts out.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say a lot of times, at least for me, when I'm making those posts, a lot of times I'm kind of just making them for me. It's what I'm
selfish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Selfish.
Yep. I'm laying it all out there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, music that I'm listening to at that time that might be important to me. And there's a message that I might get to it. I'm not saying that it's the message because, everything means something different to everybody. But, that's what's fun for me about the account is like, I can get excited about something musically that I hear or something that's impacted me musically and share it with people. And it's really cool, when other people can share in that and say, hey, like this impacted me as well.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I make my best posts when I'm impacted by what I'm listening to or something that pops up. I think you can tell with both of us when we're really invested or where
absolutely,
when, in our words, we're mailing it in.
So apologies for when we mail it in, but
sometimes they kill it.
It ebbs and flows. Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I mean, sometimes I love getting a text from you being like, this post is killing it. And it took me 2 minutes to write up.
2 minutes to put it together. And people, you never know what people are going to connect to. And that's the cool thing about social media. Another question that kind of, just tallies on to what we were just talking about. Somebody asks, how do you deal with being bombarded with music listening recommendations from fans?
Ooh, I like this.
And that's a great question because in a given day, we'll get anywhere from 15 to 50 messages or comment suggestions that we should listen to this band or we should check out somebody's band. How do you deal with that?
I would say, can I spin that question and ask it back to you?
Yeah, sure, you can. I'll let you play the Uno reverse card.
Yeah. So if I was a band or whatever, and I wanted you to listen to music, how would you want them to compose the email? Like, what is a good composition to get? If you were trying to get somebody to listen to a band or whatever, how do you do it?
Man, see, most people, goes down in the DM, right? You know, we always get those DMs, and it's like,
which is fine. How do you get noticed?
You get noticed. It's a nice message with, you know, a little bit of background about you. One thing that's always a turnoff for me is when people say that their band sounds like whatever, you know, all of the, you know, our band brings a mix of Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and the Stone Temple Pilots to you in a thrashing 90s fashion. Like, don't just tell me what your music is, and preferably, you know, our email is there. I love emails. Email. I love emails.
Email gets to us way more directly.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how many people don't use it, actually.
Yeah, it's a dying breed. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly what I like, you know, just straightforward. This is us. This is our band. This is a song. If you have a video, I love watching people play live. So I love it when you send live video of yourself playing or of your band playing. I really enjoy live music as opposed to most studio stuff. But yeah, certainly send that email. Don't just send that DM.
Email does really well for me.
Yeah, for sure. So the second half of that question is just
lay it back to me so I can respond.
Yeah, the second half is just general song suggestions of, you know, hey, can you post this, or hey, you should listen to this. And this is, I want to hear what you have to say. Actually, let's hear it. So how do you deal with that?
How do I deal with all the inboxed messages on bands?
I don't.
Yeah, short answer, I don't, because obviously, like, I like music discovery in like two forms. One, finding on my own, and two, like recommended from a close friend. And those are the kind of two ways that I like to go about it. So I really can get into stuff when somebody, like, when I trust their opinion, tells me to listen to it. So when I get a bunch of DMs, unless it's something if I've heard of it, or you know, if it comes up with, I'm definitely a visual person too. So if it comes up with like the music video and it looks like it catches my eye, then I give it a listen. I can sometimes judge it just on, you know, the video for a second. And I don't know, I probably click into stuff a little bit more than you do.
Totally.
And
you absolutely do.
Yeah. And I'll click in and I'll give it 5 to 10 seconds. And I've heard that with like bands that send stuff in, it's really typical. And I kind of was surprised by hearing that, like, people listen for like the first 10 seconds. And if it doesn't catch your eye or your ear, they turn it off. And I do the same thing. Yep. I give people a real fighting chance, but usually I don't know. I don't get past 10 seconds.
Yeah. My usual strategy with that, and this kind of harkens back to, I had an English teacher in high school named Mr. Clark. And in high school, you were assigned reading books all the time, right? And just as often as you were assigned them, you know, nobody read them. You would spark note it. You would, you know, cliff notes. You would ask Jeeves, whatever you got to do.
Ask your older brother.
Exactly. Steal the notes from somebody.
Anything but read
to keep you from reading that damn book. So anyways, he had this philosophy that he coined called the quince. You take the first 15 pages, you read those, and you take the last 15 and you read those. And according to him, he's like, hey, that's better than not reading the book. So that's kind of the strategy that I take, except it's not a first last. I usually listen to the first, you know, 10, 15, 20 seconds, and I'll skip and I'll just try to cherry pick the chorus out. I'm a big chorus guy, but furthermore, I'm a pretty big bridge guy. I love a good bridge in a song. So I'll try to just cherry pick those parts just to get a little bit of a piece. And if I like what I'm hearing, I'll certainly go back and listen from the beginning. Yeah. That's a good question. We don't, there's no rhyme or reason to when we fulfill requests. And
that's another point. It really comes in the time of day. I'll get requests, and if I'm in a hurry, or if I'm just checking something on if I don't have a good solid 10 minutes to kind of burn, it doesn't happen. But if I do, it just depends on the mood. And I think that, I don't know what that says about it. I think it's just because we have a really high volume, and I think that's why I like taking, you know, personal, referrals.
For sure. 100%. Next question here. If I would, could you?
Short answer, yes.
Yes. I may have run a little too far to get home, but we'll see. Yeah. Ethan, you can't see the questions right here, but I would say at least 20% of them are related to Wood by Alice in Chains, as is 100%. Expected at this point.
Should we go ahead and talk about that?
I think so. Somebody suggested in the questions that we should make an entire episode dedicated to that. So I think we do that. We keep them holding on for a couple more episodes before they junk the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it is dying a lot harder than I thought. So we're just going to let it die hard, and we'll probably talk about it for quite a bit longer. So that's fine.
We'll squeeze every ounce of life about that. Next question here. Are there any lifelong friends you have made because of your music taste, and how did they come about? And I think I kind of take this as friends that we've met maybe through the page. And yeah, I mean, the answer is yes.
I've met yes to both of those.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I mean, you could argue that me and you are friends because of this.
Yeah,
music,
for sure.
In the simplest terms.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely, in real, like I would say, well, I guess I'll hit the real life part first, and maybe you can do the GB side. But
sure.
As far as the music world, it's just like any other, shared interest. I mean, when I hear that somebody else listens to, say, Modest Mouse, because that's a good one, that it's not like, I mean, they're definitely a big band, but like take even a smaller band like Camp. Right. We really like that. When I saw that you posted that, I instantly got excited, and I was like, I didn't even know that he listened to them.
Oh yeah.
And you can easily there's that shared interest in like going to a concert with somebody that likes the same, or going to a concert with somebody, the idea that everybody's there for the same reasons, to watch the same person because you probably get similar feelings, is really special. So I've always found that music is an easy barometer to kind of like, I don't know, understand that, you have you're on the same path in a way.
Yeah. Not to sound too shallow, but I mean, I think it's a great inroad in terms of, learning something about somebody, or, that's actually not shallow. That's fairly insightful. So, but yeah, I mean, 100%. And I think in terms of the page, I've certainly met people and have, friendships with people that I've met through this page, which is really cool. And I'd say that it echoes exactly what you just said in terms of, music is just kind of a launching point, and, how do you make friends in any other facet of your life? You have common ground, and you just form a relationship off of that common ground. So it's really cool. And there's definitely a lot of people that have come into my life, and, through music, both, through the page and just in day-to-day life. So yeah, that was a good question. The next one here, do you consider grunge to be a genre, a scene, or something else? It's certainly
like
not a genre. I don't think it's
not a genre. Now, we get this question a ton.
They love to ask this question.
They love asking who, where, what, and I would say, in the simplest terms, I think Seattle, late 80s, early 90s, and it was just a very specific scene. So yes. I'm going scene, final answer. I think there's plenty. You can replicate the sounds of the guitar and the sounds of, say, how hard you hit the drums and stuff, but you can't really replicate, the small settings and the crowded, the crowded basements and the during, a little bit of a rise up. So
absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a lot of like the quote unquote grunge thing, that was the whole grunge scene, and the marketing of it was a really big push by a lot of record companies to line their pockets. And, musically, a lot of these bands that we talk about all the time didn't really have a whole lot in common. I mean, in terms of, if you listen to somebody like Nirvana versus someone like Alice in Chains, I mean, Alice in Chains, when they first started, I think I've said this before on the page, but like they were initially marketed on the metal circuit, and Nirvana came pretty much straight from punk. And, I mean, these bands were all over the place, but it was the perfect, conglomerate of so many different sounds that made it unique. But I don't think that there is one particular grunge genre outside of, I would use grunge to categorize Mudhoney because that's just what you do. But
It's the only true grunge band.
Absolutely. That's it. Another question about the page here. I'm trying to mix them up a little bit. Some about music, some about the page, some random ones. How do you think Grunge Bible will come to an end?
Ooh, I like that. How do I think Grunge Bible will come to an end? Honestly, it'll probably get deleted by some former thing, and Chris and I are gonna look at each other and it's like, it's over.
That's
like you want to, I would be like, you want to, no, there's no way we're gonna do that again.
That is it. It's like, I think I'll just pack my bags and go home. I think that's very likely.
Somehow, like, you've seen it before where things just get shut down randomly. I mean, I hope it doesn't, obviously.
I think that might happen. However it happens, I don't think it's going to be cinematic. I think one day either we're going to get banned or for something, or we're just going to wake up and decide that we don't want to do it, and we'll probably just delete it or just let it just live on its own, untouched for the ages until Instagram blows up or the world blows up. Who knows?
We've talked about it before, like when people like obviously pass away and they have two deaths, the time they physically die and then the time that their name is last said, or someone says their name for the last time. Do you think that you'd go on to Grunge Bible if it's been stagnant for a year and make a post like a year later of like wood or something to keep it alive for a little bit longer?
I still think people would be around. I don't know whether I would have the desire to make another post at that time, but who knows? I don't know. That's the other thing too. Like, I don't know how close or far away the death and burial of the account would be, but I guess we'll find out eventually in the years and or decades and or months to come. I don't know, man. We've been doing this for 5 years already.
I would say another 5 years, 2026.
Yeah, man. That's
still doing Grunge Bible.
I'm still drinking coffee, so. Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Here's another question.
That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, that was a good one. Next question here. Eddie Vedder once said that everyone listens to music for a different reason. What would you say your reason is?
I like that. I would say easy answer would be it changes all the time. I would say the top reason that I listen to music is probably just for the atmosphere that it can create. I love the idea. I love soundtracks to movies. I love the idea of having a soundtrack to your life, and that when you go into different phases of the day, that there's different music that goes along. I love, waking up and you got your morning coffee playlist, and you have music that you just like an easy awakening, and you have the Kurt Weill, the Phoebe, you got the camp, but then like as the day goes by, if you're hitting the weight room, you got a certain set of music for that, and then when you go into bed, you got your your kind of winding down music. So I would say the atmosphere that it can create is just awesome. Yeah,
I think all of those things, and for me, I think the first thing that pops into my head is its ability to provide value, and that might be a little broad, but I'm just thinking about to complement and to solidify different emotions that you might be feeling. When you're sad, you're able to listen to music that might make you understand things a little better. When you're feeling good, you can listen to music that'll punctuate that a little bit more. And just, it's so open-ended and it's so open to interpretation, and it's changing all the time, as you said. And there's so much out there that, you never know what the next thing you're going to discover is. And I think that's a really, really fun part about it for me. And that's a lot of the reason why I listen, is just to be able to hear how people express themselves. But Levon Helm of the band, I'm a big fan of the band. He had a quote once, and he said, if you pour a little music over whatever's wrong, it'll sure help out. And I think that's a lot of what I think about music right there. Another good question.
Beautiful quote.
The wonderful people of Instagram are really bringing some good questions here. I'm I'm enjoying this so far. This next question here is a good one. And I know, Ethan, we chatted about this prior to hitting that record button, but somebody asks, what would it take for you to record yourself singing Wood by Alice in Chains?
This is a good one. What did we say? Oh,
what metric do we measure this by? And also this question was asked by our friend Rex Culpepper, who plays football at Syracuse.
Yeah.
So Grunge Bible's favorite football team, for now and forever, will be Syracuse, and our favorite quarterback is not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Tom Brady. It's Rex Culpepper. So thanks for the question. But
100%.
See, we can't make this too attainable because I don't want to do it, and I don't think anyone wants to hear it. So it can't be like, oh, well, like if we reach 300,000 followers, because that's probably going to happen
at some point
soonish. But it's gotta be possible, but it can't be easily attainable just because I don't want to do it.
Yeah. We could put a number on like subscribers.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because then it's, we don't have any, and people are only going to hear about this through this. I don't know. Maybe
it could be a multifaceted thing. So like any one of these things can trigger it. I think like if we hit, is 10,000 too high for YouTube subscribers? I don't think so.
I mean, it's not too high. It's probably not gonna. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So here we go. The one thing that could trigger it is if we get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, we'll do it.
100%. If that happens, I'll get somebody to professionally record. I'll fly us. We'll both fly out.
We're gonna go into a recording studio.
Yeah, we're gonna do it in a studio.
Yeah, so that's one way. I think another thing that we talked about is
who's gonna.
Oh my gosh!
Who's gonna sing which part?
Who's gonna sing which part? We can maybe let people vote on that, or we can do 2 takes. If we're paying $600 an hour for studio time, why not get our money's worth? So that's definitely one way that we might trigger it. And another thing that we said, if this podcast ever charts on like Spotify or Apple Music, I think we'd have to do it at that point. And then what's another metric? If we reach 500,000 followers on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
All right. That's
I'll
fair.
do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I don't really, I'll do it. If they really want to see it,
if they want to see it and immediately want to run away. So just for the record, 10,000 YouTube subscribers or a charting podcast or 500,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, I feel like that's just like a when it happens thing.
Yeah, so hopefully people forget about this by the time.
Right, I would say you'll have to remind us.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really interesting endeavor if that happens. We're gonna have to go all out if we do it. So
you know what that reminded me of?
What's that?
Someone singing that. One of my favorite. I think you reposted it, but it was the Instagram account Faded Trade.
Oh yes,
and
our good friend over there.
Yes, and he found a songbook with Wood in it, and it had the musical notes and just like a hymnal or a hymn book.
Yep.
And it was amazing because he was like, he's like, and Lane Staley said, and then he go ahead and ripped it out.
From the book of Alice.
Yeah. And then he ripped it, and that was really great.
Yeah.
I love he weird shout out, but he always pops up on that he's going live, and I've clicked in a bunch of times. He's got some great old shirts
he sells some really old shirts. So
he sells some really great vintage stuff. It's pretty cool. It's weird that there's like a market. There's a big market for vintage shirts.
Yeah, dude, vintage and thrifting, it's back. Well, I don't know if it ever went anywhere, but
right.
I mean, that's the reason why we have this account, because vintage is in the 90s or apparently in, so it leaves the door open for lifeless posers such as ourselves to go in and apparently profit off of it, because that first person thought we were making a lot of money off of this account, but he's wrong. So
would you consider the 90s to be like a pinnacle decade? Like, all right. Like is 90s the perfect decade For music, I guess we'll go specifically.
For music, I mean, I'm definitely partial to it. I think I have to be at this point. There's also a lot of good music out right now. Yeah. But I would say,
you got the 70s, you got the 80s,
and the 60s too.
Maybe not the 80s.
Maybe in the 80s. Put the 80s at the bottom. I'll listen to the jazz music of the 20s before that, and I'll listen to 50s doo-wop before I listen to anything from the 80s. I just, nothing against anything from the 80s. I just don't think it's aged well. I don't appreciate much of any of it. Like it's really hard for me to even listen to a band as talented as Van Halen, for example. I just don't jive with the music. Nothing against it, except Guns N' Roses. I hate Guns N' Roses.
Everything against them.
Yeah, everything against them. It's personal. No Guns N' Roses. That actually segues into a good question that we also have been asked. And I think we've had experience with this too, listening to FM radio in the United States. Do you consider 90s grunge rock to be classic rock?
Oh, this is a good question. Because my dad back home, he listens to the classic rock station, and he's like, they're starting to put on Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and the 90s, and he's like, they're playing anything that's over 25 years old. That's how they classify classic rock.
Yeah.
And I would say that I would say, just like, grunge is a scene, a specific Seattle and a time period, like classic rock is got to be like 60s and 70s for me. Like when I think of classic rock, I think of 60s and 70s. And
absolutely, like Hendrix, Zeppelin, and Who.
Like classic rock is a time period.
Yeah,
and
I agree. It's like the golden age of something. Like it doesn't apply to everything. It always, and this question reminds me, it's very low hanging fruit, but I have to get the reference in. The Bowling for Soup song, 1985. It's like when did Motley Crue become classic rock? Like when did Nirvana and Pearl Jam become classic rock? And by that 25-year metric, like in the very near future, there's going to be some. Like Hinder is going to be classic rock.
Now, Lips of an Angel, I can get behind.
Absolutely. That should be played on every station, regardless of what genre it is. But I mean, I wouldn't consider grunge rock to be classic rock.
No.
I don't know.
Classic rock has its own.
I'm in your camp about.
Yeah, it's got its own thing, and grunge has its own thing. And I don't think the grunge fans would really want to call it classic rock either.
No.
That's just the radio stations trying to open up to some new base a little bit.
Yeah, just because alternative stations.
Because I'm sure they get tired of playing the same songs every day.
Just as I'm sure different accounts might get tired of posting the same songs every day. But nevertheless, another question about, so there's actually a lot of questions about the page and the logistics of it. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know and we could totally do an episode on that. But this is another good question kind of in that vein. What do you all think has helped the most with outreach and growing your account? I think for me, at least, the number one thing is just that we post a lot and we try to interact a lot. Well, I guess that's two things.
I was just saying, which is it?
If I have to pick one, I think it's the fact that we interact.
If my math is correct.
That is too. I swear I have a bachelor's degree. It's fine. It was a liberal arts degree, so it doesn't count, I guess. But yeah, I think it's interacting with people and responding to people. I think that's, and that was, man, we used to respond to everybody.
Well, I was going to say it's multi, dimensional here, because in the beginning, responding was everything. I mean, we responded and people responded, and that's how you gain followers, by interacting. But once the machine got going, I mean, sometimes we, like I said, we'll go to bed and we'll throw shit against the wall and see if it sticks. And we'll wake up and you wake up and you're just like, oh shit, another 150 followers from from Flea slapping the bass.
Another 175 angry comments about this not being grunt.
Yeah. And so we don't interact while we're asleep, obviously. So
can't be doing that.
Yeah, so like in the beginning, interaction was huge. Right now, like I think the volume, as we've talked about, like that volume of posting just does extremely well. I don't know. I guess the algorithm, I get it just at this point, just when you have that many eyes on, like it just gets sent around by different people. So
yeah, and I think one thing that I personally enjoy doing when it comes to running the page is writing comments and my own opinions. I guess maybe it's an ego thing. I don't know. Writing just what I think about certain songs, or I like doing that a lot more than I do sharing information like chronological or historical information, because you can find that stuff anywhere. But it seems like people seem to enjoy what we have to say in some way or another. So that's something I think it helps. But it also helps to post Wood by Alice in Chains every day. So we have been doing that.
We've been consistent with that. That really like picked up a lot of followers. I mean,
yeah, people seem to like that. And I think the joke should have died, 3 months ago, but apparently not.
Yeah.
I'm proven wrong once again, as I am with most things.
I don't even know if you liked it to start. But
no,
it was actually really great. That first 2 weeks was hilarious. It was funny
because we didn't say anything, and people.
It was so good, and it was like, I mean, that's exactly what it is now. Yeah, just like everything, the joke got taken too far. Now,
yeah.
I don't get the joke. I don't get the joke anymore.
No. Now it's out of our control now. So we made this monster, and now there's nothing we can do about it.
I know people are going to get upset here and that we don't like it, but
whatever. I'm not in it to make other people happy. I'm in it to placate myself. So that's actually not true, but I guess it's true for everybody.
Cut that, Drew. No,
we're gonna cut that out. Whatever. If you're still with us, I think we could probably say damn near anything and y'all would still listen. But next question here. Are presidents of the USA grunge? I think they're referring to the band, because there's nothing grunge about Joe Biden, Donald Trump. Reagan.
I'm going to flip this question. Who is the most grunge president?
The most grunge president? Okay, it's certainly nobody from the 20th or 21st century, since the lifestyles were too pampered.
Right.
But then the problem though is once you get into the 19th and 18th centuries, a lot of those people are staunch racists and so on, and very flawed characters, as
that's
all
not
people
grunge.
are. That's not grunge. That's not grunge. Man, who's I'm gonna pick someone like I don't know, someone completely. I know nothing about this man, but something tells me that Millard Fillmore was grunge as hell. I think he was a president in like the 1830s or 1840s, maybe. That's kind of grungy. I mean, they didn't have indoor plumbing. Maybe he wore flannel. Maybe I don't know. Millard Fillmore is my pick.
Yeah, I want for this video, if you guys could comment who is the most grunge president, we'd really appreciate that, because we need to know, and we need this to be settled, because I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. And there's no better public forum to answer questions than comment sections on social media posts.
I feel like I heard some story about I don't even. Is it William Henry Taft
who died in his bathtub?
Yeah, is it Henry Taft? William Henry?
Well, I think that's his middle name, but I know it was William Taft. Yeah.
I mean that
man was a unit, Ethan. He was an absolute unit.
Yeah, absolute unit. My dad's a big president's guy.
Oh yeah,
and Dave. And he would always quiz us. But I remember when he said, like, how long he was in office, and we're like, I don't know. Wait, wasn't he the one that died of pneumonia? Like 45 minutes into his speech.
That was William Henry Harrison. So he was.
Oh, William Henry Harrison.
It was raining sideways on his inauguration day, and he gave like a 6-hour speech, and he died like 3 months later.
That's pretty grunge.
That's pretty grunge. You know what? He's my front runner.
Yeah, he's
William
clearly
Henry
the front runner.
Harrison is
he went against president. What people said to this. They told him. I'm sure they told him to go in.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if they didn't have an advisor that said to go in, and that's a terrible. Cabinet or whatever. But
we're hereby closing down the comment section, and it is settled that the most grunge president of all time was William Henry Harrison.
Yeah,
I hope to God that's the correct president for that story. I think it is. Getting back to that question,
hey, don't quote me. quote me.
Or quote me. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter because all of this is arbitrary anyways. I don't know. I don't know enough of their music. My favorite Presidents of the United States song is Truck Stop on the Moon. That's my favorite from them.
Wow, it says he doesn't know a lot of them, but then
it's also the only song that I know by them.
How do you not know Peaches?
No, I think I know Peaches.
Millions of Peaches.
Truck Stop on the Moon was on one of my playlists for a really, really long time. And
that's good.
I think I'm going to listen to that once we finish this podcast. Next question about grunge.
I love Presidents of the United States, by the way.
But I got to get into them a little more. Which songs from the grunge era hit you most in your feels?
Ooh, in my feels? At this time of my life? Nothing. No, I was kidding.
Nothing. I feel nothing.
The best feels. You know what? I was actually going to text you this the other day, and it's not your typical grunge band, but we've talked about them a lot. And if we're talking about feels and feel, I have to say Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah, because sometimes I feel the pain of everyone, and then sometimes I feel nothing. But for some reason, when I listen to them and the guitar, I get really I get this angst to me where, because it's like it's definitely my type of sound where it's not polished at all. It's pretty, it's polished in its own way, but it's not like your traditional singing or, the way it's composed. So I think that whenever I feel that, I always get this it's like it's like a soundtrack for me, and I just feel I just feel like very light and probably, without being like super, it's not like a super strong feeling. I just get, I just have these modes where I listen to them.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick for me. I don't know if this is my definitive answer. I think it's hard to answer things definitively when there's so much variation and so many good songs coming from that era. But one that pops out to me rather, would be Zero Chance by Soundgarden. And it's like, they say when you'll leave, or, born without a friend and bound to die alone. Like that song is really, really, really sad. And there's a part of the song, I think in the bridge, where he's like, why doesn't anyone believe in loneliness? And that one's, not to get super into it, but I think that speaks a lot. And, I think a lot of times when we're just thinking about things, people don't give other people credit for the situations that they're in or the isolation they might be in. And, it's like, it's something that happens to other people, but they don't believe it when it's happening to you. But that's certainly one that pops up for me. But we could do an entire, month's worth of podcasts about sad grunge era songs, but
we could do one talking about
the Big Sad. We're very well versed in the Big Sad, so got our PhDs.
And just talking about how, I don't know, emotions and songs. I do really appreciate sometimes, when you listen to something and then you look them up and then you get a little backstory about them. Yeah. Then it makes songs there's a lot more feeling drawn to that.
100%.
Just like you were talking about, like we get a little more understanding of where they're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question, which might be the question that I'm most enthused to answer out of any question that we've been asked is, do you guys listen to anything other than grunge rock and or alternative? And the answer is yes, because I honestly don't listen to a ton of grunge rock at this current crossroads or stage
juncture of your life.
I'm not really listening to a whole lot of it, so I'm sorry, I guess. I apologize for that, but I really don't. So Ethan, what are some non-grunge or I don't.
Well, first answer this, Chris. How many? Well, all right. Last year, Spotify. How many minutes did you listen to over the year?
I was up to like 75 or 80,000 minutes, I think.
I think we both were over 80,000.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Which comes down to like, how much do you think you listen to a day?
Oh, I forget
music.
I forget
music
what the math
playing.
breakdown is, but it's probably like 5 or 6 hours if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I mean, you just you always have it on in the background. So like you can go through a lot of music, and I do the same where I just have the headphones in, or I'm always on the speaker for whatever I'm doing. So definitely listen to a lot, and it's not all grunge.
No,
So what music am I listening to right now? Or
what are some things? And I think I'm going to make an executive decision and strike the word alternative from this question, because alternative can mean damn near anything. So let's just say what's not grunge that we're listening to. Because I think anything that we say could be alternative, and I don't want people being like, oh, well, like that's alternative, so you can't answer that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. I really like, I really have been listening to a lot of Camp. We talked about like Camp, and a little more, he has like a raspier voice and a lot of guitar. And it's, I guess it's in general just kind of indie. I'm going to a Mountjoy concert
nice.
In about at the end of May, which I'm very excited for. It's a socially distanced outdoor concert here in Birmingham. So they're bringing back concerts. So first concert in over a year. So, and they're like indie, they're pretty good. They got some stuff on the radio. So yeah, I would say like anything that has a good acoustic guitar and a good, a slightly twangy indie voice. I'm listening to right now.
A lot of Kurt Vile probably too. Then
yeah, right? Oh yeah, Kurt Vile. He's been on the turntable for a couple of years now. Ever since my good friend Nick McMenamin got me into him, he's been a staple. He's one of the better singer songwriters.
Yeah, for sure. He's super talented.
How about you?
Yeah, I would say. And I think I've talked about this on a previous episode, but I mean, I've been the past 6 to 9 months, I've listened to a lot more of diverse music than what I'm normally siloed, pretty firmly in rock and roll, I guess alternative. Yeah, exactly. But lately, oh man, I've kind of been all over the place, but I've had a lot of, been listening to a lot of Camp Cope lately. Listening to always a lot of Phoebe Bridgers, Julian Baker, her new record. I just got it in the mail yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
It is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Been also getting into Beach Bunny, which is another band. And then, I mean, I'll bounce all around. I've been on a Kurt Vile kick lately, actually, as well. I've never really gone super, super deep into his work, but starting to do that. And same goes for Modest Mouse. And I love it. I'll just put Modest Mouse on while I'm working during the day and just let it play. I love musicians like that you just put them on in the back and you don't have to think about skipping any songs since they're all really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we're running north of 40 minutes here. So I think this will be the last question here. And it's a very important question. Somebody asks, has anyone from the Alice in Chains camp ever reached out to you about the whole wood obsession? And well, first, the easy part of that question, or the easy part of that answer, would be no, they have not. They haven't yet.
They haven't yet. We've had quite a few interactions with bands and famous people that we look up to. To name a few.
Do we name? I don't think we name names here.
Okay.
We keep that.
So we've had some interactions, and we really tried to get Jerry to notice us.
Jerry's like the great white buffalo of the page. He's out there. We can't get him though, apparently.
But as far as I'm concerned, we haven't had any interaction yet.
Nothing from Alice in Chains or Jerry or Mike or William. But
do you think it's
Sean.
Possible?
I think it's certainly possible, because some of the people that we've had communication with, I would not have thought would be possible to do that. True. And who knows, maybe, when we want to, we could do an episode about that maybe at some point, but they haven't. It would be cool. So there's a fun story. So, as probably we've been posting it a lot, just as kind of a joke, and we've killed the joke. But it's like a snake, you cut off the head and the snake's still rolling around a little bit. But somebody commented once and they were like, wow, like what a horrible thing to do to tarnish a song's legacy. And like, we're not that important, man. And that's what I told this person in the comments. I was like, I think you're really overestimating a marginally popular Instagram page in terms of its ability to impact the legacy of a song that was released like 30 years ago. I think if there's one thing that could come out of this that would be kind of cool is if somehow what we're doing with that song finds its way into the footnotes of you know, the Wikipedia page for that song is like, oh, it was marginally repopularized in the year 2021 by a group of Instagram users or something like that. That'd be funny.
We gave it a little pop, just like the Fleetwood Mac song. Dreams.
With the guy on the skateboard, the TikTok.
Because that charted like I don't know if it got to number one song or not, but yeah,
it
something like that
real quickly. That would be really funny.
Yeah, that would be cool if we gave it a little pop here in 2021.
If anybody here who is listening is a TikToker with a following and you do the TikTok dance stuff, make a TikTok dance to Wood. Like we need to get someone like, you know, if we got like Charlie D'Amelio, who's like the most popular TikToker, if we get her to do a dance to Wood, we'd be cruising. But that's a good question. Hopefully that answer changes eventually.
Just talking about it out loud. Talking about it out loud actually kind of gives me hope that it could happen.
And honestly,
something like that could take off. And
honestly, I think it would be funnier if they somehow reached out to us and told us to fuck off. I think that would be even funnier. We'll see.
Do you think that they take it as
tarnishing the legacy?
Yeah.
Oh man, no, those guys.
Not Jerry.
No, those guys have been. I mean, we're a pebble on the beach for them.
Yeah.
So
if I had to, if I was worried about one of the big four getting upset, it wouldn't be Jerry.
No, I think it would be the ghost of Kurt Cobain. I think he would. Yeah. He'd haunt me or something. Maybe he will after that. Maybe I spoke it into existence, but we shall see. But I think we'll put a lid on the Q&A here. That was really good. And so there's a lot of questions that were submitted that we haven't asked, or that we haven't answered rather. But moving forward, we're going to do the same thing. We'll probably do this every like 4 or 5 or 6. We'll see. If you guys like it, we can do it frequently. If you guys don't like it, we can never do it again. It's up to you.
And we could also kind of direct the questions. We could say, hey, Q&A all about statistics, or we could do Q&A all about. So we have some ideas, and we can kind of funnel and make it a little bit.
If you want to talk music, we'll talk music. If you want to talk social media, we will. If you want to talk about our personal financial situations, we might do that. I don't think we will, but who knows? You never know.
There's nothing to talk about.
No, there's not really a whole lot to this. We couldn't do a 45-minute episode on that. Let's just put it that way. Oh my gosh.
Quick. But I was just real quick. If somehow Dave Grohl if he would ever tell me to fuck off, I'd be okay with that. I would not. I think I would be extremely upset. He's the only person.
Yeah, that's the person that can get you.
Yeah, Dave Grohl. If he just said like, you know what, Ethan, like you're not that great, I would just be like, oh my god.
Oh man, yeah.
Only him though.
Yeah, I think him or somebody like someone like Stone Gossard, just because I can't really imagine Stone being like super angry at anybody. Like if he got angry at me, it's like the teacher in middle school that was like super chill with everybody who you just stepped over the line one day and he actually yelled for the first time.
Yeah, you're like, wow, I took it too far.
Yeah, and then like you're sitting there just thinking for the next couple of days about like, man, like if I could take that back. So
who would you think would be the funniest to get really mad at you? Like if somebody got mad at you, who would you just like laugh? Like
I don't know. I don't want to insult the character of anybody here, but I think if
that's the point. Like,
yeah, that's true. You're right. That is totally the point.
if they got mad.
Yeah, I'll answer it this way. Maybe not for me, but if there is somebody that collectively the page would love to see get upset at us, I think it would be Chad Kroger.
Yeah, I was thinking Scott Stapp. Like if Scott like heard this and would be like, fuck Grunge Bible. like we would just be like,
that'd be great. I mean, it wouldn't be great because we made him upset. It would be great because it would be funny. Obviously,
that's all. Yeah. We'll both say it.
Yeah, I love Creed.
we love Nickelback.
I'll tell you, I don't think I've told this on the podcast. The first CD that I ever owned was All the Right Reasons by Nickelback. I was 8 years old and it came out.
I had it too.
2005 or I was 9 years old. But yeah, that was it. So if any of you grunge purists or music gatekeepers are still with us, I'm sure this will push you to turn it off and block us and unfollow us. In which case, I'm happy about that, because I don't want you here if you're gonna get upset about that. But that was good. So, Ethan, we talked a little bit today about our financial situations. And that's the perfect segue into kind of how we want to wrap this up, which is, we're 4 episodes in now. We've got a lot more coming, God willing, that neither of us dies or we don't get banned or shut down or whatever. And if you're liking what you're hearing right now, which, I hope you are. If you're not, I really wouldn't be surprised, though. But if you like what you hear and you would, feel inclined to support this podcast in any way, shape, or form, there are a couple ways you can do that. So every way that you can support us or find out more information, you can go to grungebible.com. So our name followed by .com. I think y'all know how to use the internet. There's a couple different things you can do. We have a merchandise page on Teespring, which will be linked there. We've got some merch. We got some merch there for you to purchase. And additionally, we have a Patreon account, which if you're not familiar with Patreon, you can basically go in and select the level of which you would like to support us in a monthly fashion. So those are really the 2 ways. Additionally, other things that will really help us out. If you subscribe to us on YouTube, if you subscribe to us and like us and leave us reviews on any podcasting platform that you might be listening to us on. And I think additionally, if you want to help us out, give us some feedback, send us a direct message about what you think about the podcast. If you like it, if you hate it, if you're really upset that we just slandered Scott Stapp and Chad Kroger, let us know. We might not listen to you, but we'll certainly read it. I think that's the standard for direct messages these days. We will read it. We may not respond. We may not listen, but we might. And I think with this, if you've got some suggestions or criticisms, we'd love to hear it. But those are kind of the ways. So once again, if you're interested in helping us out, showing some support, you can go to grungebible.com and do just that. So once again, I think we'd like to thank Drew McFadden for being our producer, being the man behind the music on this podcast, and being the general jack of all trades when it comes to podcasting. We're really thankful for his support here. Ethan, do you have any closing words here on episode 4?
No, I think you nailed it on the head. The more support we get, the more we can put into this. It's pretty simple. If you guys were to, somehow we get a salary from doing this, then we'll be able to do a lot more cool stuff.
Be able to do a lot cooler stuff. And we got Drew we want to take care of. So, we're just making, a dream into a reality. So it's pretty fun to be a part of. And we're thankful for every little bit of help that we can get. 100%. One last thing I realized we forgot, song of the week. So just tell me the song, tell me the artist, no other explanations since we're running short on time. Let's hear it. You get one shot.
Yeah. All right. Song of the week. I usually quick pull up my Spotify and look at my most recently liked song.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I don't want to say them again. I'm going to say Twin Size Mattress by the Front Bottoms. An oldie, but a goodie. It's one of my favorite bands, Twin Size Mattress.
Excellent. I think my song of the week, School of Fish, 3 Strange Days. That's been the song of the year, man. Song of the last year and a half. The
song
whole pandemic,
of the year.
The entire pandemic has been 3 strange days indeed.
I love that.
So go check those songs out if you're interested in that. But
3 Strange Days and Twin Size Mattress.
Absolutely. Well, if you're still with us, we thank you so much for tuning into episode 4 of the Grunge Bible podcast. Once again, I'm Chris Salona along with Ethan Shalloway. And if you liked what you're hearing, stay tuned. We'll be back next week with episode 5, and we'll be interviewing Drew McFadden.
Cheers, guys, and rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Cool.